Hello and welcome back to our YouTube channel along with our new episode today. This is me, Suraj, and with my friend Shishir here. So, today in our episode, this is a completely different one from our usual because today we'll be talking about some international affairs and international relations between different country with India. So, today we have a very special guest, an international guest from a different nation at all. So please give a big round of applause to our first national guest, Mr. Yusuf, in here. All right.
Hello, guys.
Thank you, Yusuf, for joining us here. We are very much
My
grateful.
pleasure.
All right. So here we'll be talking about a lot of stuffs in here and the basis of technology, geopolitics in here. So Shishir, will you take the banter and start the proceedings?
Yeah, first of all, I would to uh, to thank Yusuf. Secondly, I would like Yusuf to introduce to our viewers first, because Yusuf, can you tell us about yourself? How, where are you from? What is your background and everything?
Sure. So I'm Yusuf, as you said, and I'm 25 years old, and I'm from Turkey. So now I live in Germany for the past 1 year. My background is linguistics, but now I'm in Germany doing NLP master's degree. So it is kind of a um, in between artificial intelligence, machine learning, and linguistics. So yeah, this is a new field for me. I like to listen to podcasts, especially read about politics, maybe economics, finances. I really am interested in languages, and I like to travel and hope to one day visit India also.
Yeah,
So yeah,
okay.
overall, that's it about me.
Surely, you'll one of our members is missing today due to
Yep.
some medical emergency, but
Hmm.
surely you have three people from three different states to host you.
Yep.
So you have Odisha.
That's great.
Suraj is from Odisha, so he'll be like he can cover West Bengal, Odisha, and
All
other
the
parts of the
East coast I'll be
East
covering.
Coast.
That's my job for you.
That's great. I have
So
actually a lot of more states covered in India itself,
Oh,
so
that's
that's
nice.
good. I add three
okay.
more.
So, so my first question to you: how do you
Sure.
what all things you liked about India when you visited, or which city you visited, and what was the best part about those cities?
I have not visited yet. By covered, I mean when I go there,
Okay,
I will be
okay,
covered. Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay. Oh, I
because
thought.
I have a lot of friends from India, both from university. Also, actually, I have some when I was working in international real estate. My main focus was on India. So I had a lot of customers from there also, which are still some of them are like in contact with me. So yeah,
Okay,
I really want to see the north part, northeast as well. That's like one of my main focuses. Maybe I like to see um, maybe Goa. I really want to see south part also a little bit.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I mean there are many different states. It's a totally different world to me, to be honest, because
yeah,
when it seems from outside, people will think India, okay, it's like a country, but when you compare it to like any other place, it's like actually the resemblance is not like France or Germany. It's like the whole European continent because I'm pretty sure South is very different than North, or East and West are very different.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. It's
maybe
very
I would want to see like multiple states at once.
okay, okay. So this question we'll ask you when you visit us and when we host you. Definitely, we'll ask for a review from you.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
Yusuf, I would like to know about a little bit more about Turkey as a country. Like, what are the different kind of like financially how this country works? How it is dependent on agriculture? Is it dependent on agriculture, or it is dependent on totally dependent on some different stuffs like real estate, stocks, or different kind of things. So, like, what all things do you think like what a may plays a major role in finance?
Well, I mean, Turkey was for sure a lot dependent on agriculture, like because it's mainly in Anatolia and Mesopotamia. So the agriculture was a really important part of the economy. But I think it's shifting from there slowly for the
Mm-hmm.
past few decades, for sure. This still like local level agriculture is very important, but of course Turkey is growing in many different ways. I would say right now the most amount of investment, at least by the government, is to the technology side, like many other countries, not surprisingly.
Yeah.
And of course, real estate is also a very big part. I have personal experiences, especially in international real estate, but I would say the international real estate is mainly focused on like touristical areas, maybe west and south, and maybe specifically Istanbul within itself, its own category, because it's a really huge business hub, and it's literally a layover between Asia and Europe and Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to anywhere in the world, you probably will lay over in Istanbul, if you are going from one side of the world to the other side. So in that sense, it's a very big hub, both business-wise, touristically, historically, culturally, and also real estate. But Turkey is actually trying to increase its exports right now, and it's still in a deficit because it's importing more than it's exporting. But it has a lot of resources that Turkey cannot really, how to say, harvest yet. So that's the issue mainly. But yeah, it has a lot of natural resources, petroleum, gas. Recently, they found gas in North Black Sea,
Mm, yeah, yeah.
so that will probably be a changing factor in next 2 3 years. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a very diverse economy in that regard because it's a bridge between Asia and Europe. So yeah, it's a very diverse economy. It can go in any way actually, as long as the government keeps it stable.
So, like as you said, as you mentioned at last, government be stable. Like, do you feel because the recent uh, incidents that are happening, do you feel that
Mhm.
is it like Turkey also an unstable government? Turkey also has an unstable government or something like that, or like no, it's a democratic country. It has its own power.
Well, when it's stability, you can say it's stable by it has been in the same trajectory for the last 10, 20 years. But economically, it's not stable because it's fluctuating a lot. And Turkey is a very, both geographically, politically, and also economically, it's in very between places. What I mean
Mm-hmm.
by that is this: it's trying to create its own independent economy, but it's 65, 70% dependent on outside world, even though it has its own resources. So that's a pretty tough position to be in, especially right now. I think majority of countries try to be self-reliant. China and US are not, best buddies
Yeah.
anymore, like they were in 90s and 2000s maybe. And same with India. So Turkey is in that class as well. So it's not that stable, especially when you consider it's a economy that's 65, 70% on outside world, but it uses outside currency. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
our own currency, the Turkish lira, is going down very bad. It's on a free fall. So in that regard, it's really not stable, not that stable. So inflation is very bad. Um, but if you think of it in a long term, if it's actual plans, maybe that will be the side effect of transitioning, because transition is not going to be so easy and it's always painful.
Yep.
But I would say it's not very stable at the moment.
Okay. So, like as you mentioned, like it is the government is there for like 20 years, 15, 20 years. So is it like the same way like India has a elections in every 5 years? You also have same way elections, or like or the people like common people of Turkey, like you, your family, is it like they are happy with this government, or like they are not very happy with this government?
I would say economically majority of country is not really happy, and it's not really tied to any other, it's not related to one direct party, because when you see it right now, for example, we have actually elections. There are terms and short terms, like 4 years, 5 years, like many other countries. Um, but for example, the governing party right now is in the power for the last 23 years, I think. I mean, when I was born, basically it was becoming the top dog and still the same
Okay.
party. And so, and the system has changed a little bit in 2017. So the party is still the same, but that's a reaction to the previous party.
Mm.
And when you think about it that way, it's very understandable why it's going like that. But that doesn't mean people are very happy about it. In my opinion, I would say majority of the country population, especially young people, are very critical of politics, economy. If you take out all of the political and ideological side outside of it, people are generally very in a tough position, economically, even very wealthy, because their currency and their wealth is losing its meaning and value. So, and it's very hard to get out, go in. I mean, economically, because, for example, when I came here, I had to somehow find my way to collect some euros,
Mm.
you know. But
Yep.
our currency is losing its value versus euro, like, I don't know, a couple of percent a month, maybe more. So that's very hard to do. So when you think of it that way, I would say young people are very critical and not very happy.
Okay. Yusuf, like I have a very like I was very curious about it. Like we as an Indian, we as an Asian people think so that Western countries think that their problem is the world's problem. They don't consider our problem or Middle East problem or Asian problems to be the world's problem. So, what's your thought on this?
I totally agree with that, because we live in a um, like Western center world. It's like Europe is the center of the world, even though it's just 500 million people. Or let's say United States is 300 million people. Now, when you think
Yeah.
about it population wise, it's a very small scale. It's not even 1 billion, which is, I mean, only India is more than United States and Europe combined. Um,
Okay.
so, but when you think of it economically, now everything makes sense why it's structured that way. But I think these shifts are happening because United States have been like the global main power, and not in a very close way. Like, United States has a military that is bigger than the rest of 25 alliances of its own combined. So that kind of decides on everything. That's why United States politics is everywhere relative. When you come to Germany, it literally feels like United States 51st state. It doesn't feel like Germany. When you go to any country in Europe, they are just very similar. So majority of problems in Middle East are very irrelevant, in Africa, in Asia, in China. But I think this is changing because the power is changing. The power is kind of shifting to the east, especially to China. Um, I think we are going to talk about more, Africa and Asia more than we talk about Europe and United States in the next decades.
Maybe.
So, like as you mentioned, Africa, uh, I have read some of the articles mentioning that Turkey is providing some uh, um, electrical support. Like they don't have their own. Some countries in Africa don't have their own means to create electricity. So Turkey is providing them. So how do you see these kind of ties, this kind of support towards African countries? Because recently we have also seen that India is more focused more on the countries like the countries which are there in Africa. So is
Mhm.
it like we are seeing that the world is shifting towards creating a small groups of like countries like BRISC, in that case G10, G5, or is it like the NATO that is going to rule for next 20 25 years?
I mean, these kind of things don't change in a couple of years, so we really can't say that it's something's changing very fast in next 10, 20 years. Maybe it's still going to be very similar than how it is. to how it is now in 10, 20 years. But after that, I think a lot of things will change, because right now, the teenager of the world is Africa, in my opinion, both population wise, literally. They have a lot of young people, and the economy is growing there. And now they have an advantage. For example, a lot of African countries are having internet or electricity or railways in the mass scale for the first time, but they are having the best of it. You know, the railways in India are sorry, in Germany are very bad because they are very old. But the ones that were that were built in Turkey are basically because China is building them, and Turkey is investing a lot. So I think a lot of countries are actually investing in Africa. It's not helping them. I don't think countries help each other. They do, of course, in some way, which is like, you know, mutual in some sense. But it's an investment. It's a long-term investment, and China is doing that very well for a very long time. And Turkey is the same. Turkey has
No,
a lot of
recently
lands and gas,
I
so
was,
yeah, they are
I,
also
I
investing.
was, yeah. Recently, I was reading about it, like DRC, Dominica Republic country
Yeah.
that is there is in Africa. They don't produce their own electricity, and Turkey is providing their this a huge ship which produces an electricity on a leash.
True.
Yep.
So that's the kind of that was what my point is, that these countries that are growing, that are developing, should uh, take over the powers that already these developed countries have, like in that case Turkey, India, in some case if you mention Pakistan, or even UAE, Kuwait.
Hmm.
These kind of countries should come together. South Africa. These countries should come together and like build up a community which is equal to NATO. Why
Hmm.
not create? Why not make them realize that your problem is not the world's problem. It's it's that it's a rule that if you have a problem, it's not a world problem. It's we are also having a problem, so it should be discussed on the world stage. Like recently, we saw that there are tensions between China, Taiwan. We
Hmm.
have
Yep.
tensions between India, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and
Mm-hmm.
even in Yemen, Middle East, Yemen, we are having a problem. There is not even a single discussion going on. Even
Hmm.
recently, I read that UAE and Kuwait are going on a fight. They are having a war between themselves. So this is not a great sign. That it is again, if you would have known that Britishers had this rule, they used to say to us, to Indians, that we should divide them and then we can rule. So this is I am like it's my perspective to see the world, but I think that we should unite against these Western powers and create some good community so that our problem are discussed on the world front. What's your point in this?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be so one-sided, at least,
Yeah,
because it's very weird to me. Like, for example, let's look at internet. If you ask people, like, there's a war, even people in the East, uh, in the Asia or Africa, they will first think of Ukraine-Russia war,
Yeah.
or maybe specifically this time it got famous, Palestine, Gaza, which has
Yes.
been for, hundreds of years. I mean, not exactly hundreds, but like for a very long time. But
yeah,
it was never famous. It was never famous. But at the same time, there are a lot of issues, a lot of wars right now for example, in Africa, like Democratic Republic of Congo. What's happening there is crazy right now, with a lot of tribes fighting, the
yeah,
gold mines.
they're fighting between themselves only for the
Yep.
gold
Yeah,
mines,
yeah,
for different for
yeah.
the
There
lands.
is, yeah, the war in Yemen, for example. Nobody even hears about it. It's crazy. So yeah, there's a very central point of view, and for some reason we are also guilty of it. Like you live in India, but it's like you know more about this than you know about the conflict. There's actually a conflict between China and India as well
Yeah,
on the
Yep.
north border of India.
not yeah,
It's not a
it is.
Yes.
serious war, but actually in 2020, I remember people died. Nobody talked about it in the West
Yep.
ever. Nobody even knows about it. Maybe
The two punches.
that's the issue. So that's kind of our fault, I would say.
Yeah, it's very sad. I think Suraj, now I
Yep.
have completed my question. My one last question, like, do you like Donald Trump as a president?
uh, I really don't like or hate politicians. I think they are just all showmans. Trump is a funny guy. I like
Yep.
that he is funny,
Interesting
but
way to put it.
um, yeah, but he's a politician. I mean, he's not a typical politician, though. I would
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that
He's a
he's a
businessman.
showman.
Business.
Yeah, he's a businessman, and he thinks he's the main character. Uh, I mean, literally, like personally, I think. Uh,
Yeah.
but if I'm gonna make a how to say be very fair to him, at least he was more for business than to war. But that's just because of his history. He doesn't really maybe understand the war so much. He understands business,
Yeah.
uh, and that's why there are sanction wars right now, especially with Trump. But yeah, I don't like him or hate him. But yeah,
That's
he's
fine.
a funny guy.
But let's okay,
All
Suraj,
right.
let's
Yep.
your question.
Okay. So Turkey is like actually in a very like straddling position between Europe and Asia, and if you see its geographic location in the world map, it's in a very critical point to be surrounded by such countries, and it it is in the rising Black Sea. So like to see its position in geographic position and pursue an independent foreign policy while balancing out all the NATO's Russia and China. How do you see that foreign policy collaborates with all those factors that comes in with it?
Yeah, as I said, like earlier, also Turkey is in a very between place, both geographically and
Mm,
politically and economically. So when we, for example, me and Shishir talked about that, for example,
mm,
alliance or bringing attention more to, let's say, ourselves. Even though right now I'm in Europe, uh, to bring more attention to Middle East, to Asia, in any way actually economically. Like for example, what happens, suddenly all European governments decide, oh, using oil is so bad, so let's ban oil. Yeah,
mm.
but you did everything you can and now you all have amazing economies and now it's our time to use it and suddenly it's so bad.
It's a problem, yeah.
Yeah, so Turkey is in that position right now. When you talk about that alliance, it cannot really easily happen for Turkey because Turkey is actually NATO's,
Yeah.
one of the biggest members in NATO, and at the same time, as I said, while it's fighting against US dollar, it's also US biggest ally in
Yep.
that regard in the NATO's perspective. uh, but whenever it tries to fight against US dollar, it fight against itself because its economy is entirely based on US dollar. It's not even based on Turkish
Mm.
lira. So um, uh, it has it has a very weird position in my opinion. Like it's not really best buddies with any of its neighbors, not with Greece, not with Bulgaria, not with Iran for sure, not with Syria, not with Lebanon, and not with Iraq. It's a very weird position to be in, I would say. And
Yep.
right now that's one of the main reasons I think it's hard for it to be um, fully independent, because it
Mm.
cannot really make a good use of its own devices also. But I would say Turkey is playing very well in that regard to still survive this well, I would say, because it's playing both sides. When Russia-Ukraine war happened, it was in two sides.
Yep.
It was selling and buying with Russia, and it was selling and buying with Ukraine at the same time. And it can keep doing that. I don't know.
Okay, let's see about that. So coming up next, if we take a step into a more deeper sense of the geopolitics that's happening in the world, like in the recent actions that or incidents that have happened between India and Pakistan, Turkey have provided assistance to this Pakistan side, and which may or may not have hampered in its relations with India? And do you see it as a strategic necessity for Turkey to broaden its position in the South Asia?
Maybe that's a intentional move because actually Turkey has a very much bigger relationship economically with India than it has with Pakistan.
Okay.
And actually, if you also it also did the same thing with Bangladesh. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the expert really. I really
Yeah.
don't know as much as my personal knowledge. I would say this is more strategic than it is ideological. But also ideologically, you would expect a Muslim majority country would
Mm-hmm.
really want to side with Pakistan, and
Yeah.
on Kashmir issue also Turkey. Uh, I want to say Erdogan, not Turkey, because Erdogan is really defining a lot of international politics in Turkey. I think with the
Okay.
previous or late party, it could be very different.
Okay.
So he's one of the main, definings. Um, but this is kind of strategical. Why? Maybe it's because of this. Well, Turkey is actually investing a lot in its military and exporting military. So it sells
Mm.
guns, drones, and these like autonomous warcrafts.
Yep.
I don't know
Yep.
what they're. Also military training, by the way. It gives military training to Bangladesh and Pakistan and a lot of countries in Africa. So maybe
Yeah.
that was on purpose, because even though it has a bigger economical relationship with India, India is not really its customer, because India itself has like a trillion plus
Yeah.
GDP and is putting billions of dollars in its own military budget. So it also wants to export rather than import. So Turkey and India will not really want to sell each other guns. Instead, they will want to sell other people guns. So Turkey maybe is doing that strategically,
Yep.
but the economical relationship has gone down a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
as much as I know, between India and Turkey, but it's still much higher than combining Pakistan and Bangladesh together. But I
Yeah.
know recently Turkey has signed a deal to increase import exports, especially with military with Pakistan.
Yeah, they are selling some warships. I think
Yeah.
they're selling some warships. So, like, I have some question.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
Yusuf, you were talking about that Turkey is strategically supporting Pakistan, right? I
Mhm.
have a little question. Like
Sure.
in 2023, there was a uh, like earthquake that destroyed Turkey completely. Okay, India was the first country to send its relief to Turkey, and it's all the aid companies and everything. India was the first country to be there.
Yeah.
Then, as a common person, like as a common people of of Turkey and India,
Mhm.
we see it like as a friendship towards between these two countries. Do you think that these kind of steps that Turkey's government is taking, that they are sending drones, they are selling warships to Pakistan, is it going to like someday or the other, Turkey will need India again? Turkey or India will need Turkey again. So, do you think that these kind of steps are taking away two big countries or two developing countries at a good rate away from each other? Because see,
I mean,
Pakistan doesn't have any future left. As a like they have their own rivals, they have their own rivals. Not only India. Like I'm not talking about India. Let's forget about India and Pakistan. You mentioned that Turkey is supporting Muslim majority countries. That will be Pakistan and Bangladesh, correct? But recently you saw that Pakistan and Afghanistan had a clash. Both are, I think, the Muslim majority country. And then also in, I think, in a press conference, Turkey president came up and said that we are closing our diplomatic relationship with Afghanistan.
yeah.
So is it that uh, like what do you really see, what do you really see of these kind of like steps? really think that, oh come on, they send us support, they were supporting us, we are good friends, so we should not do something that it is affecting India? Because the day India launched the attack on Pakistan, the first country to send the drones was Turkey. At that very night, the first consignment was sent on that very night. It is not like they had a deal that was there, that was delayed. No, the Turkey was the first country to send that drones to in Pakistan. So my concern is that, like, these are two big countries. Turkey and India have a very good future. Pakistan is going on a downfall, and it is a free falling country. Someday you will read in news that Pakistan is divided into four parts of different different parts, like it is happening in Yemen, because they have their own problems going on. Baluch and Sindh, Punjab, all are getting divided within themselves. So, do you think that these kind of steps are taking away too good or two developing countries away?
Um, I mean, when you asked about Pakistan and Afghanistan, I think that brings out the actual motives that Turkey has. Um, so it's not really ideological. Also, the reason why I said, for example, right now, uh, not Turkey but Erdogan himself, which is of course is the main decider of international politics, especially in those regards. When he sides with Muslim majority countries, he sees himself in that way like a leader, and that's why he's doing that. But it's totally strategic because Pakistan not having a future, maybe it's even a good thing for him, because when countries want to be global powers, they really need some proxies. So maybe
Yeah.
Turkey is seeing Pakistan as its own small proxy. Maybe it's seeing India slowly as a threat or as a competition. So maybe in that way, but I really don't know whether, because it's not totally a good thing, of course, to whenever there's a small conflict to immediately well put money
Yeah.
and guns
Yeah.
in there. But that's kind of the whole point for them.
No, it's not.
I don't think there is
It's not on.
sincere. Yeah, I don't think there is sincere side of it. That's my point, because what happened in the earthquake, um it was a very hard time, by the way, politically, also in Turkey, socially, because people realized, okay, a lot of foreign governments help literally came before the government's help. So that was a very bad day in that way also. Um, but those things don't mean anything when it comes to governments, because I don't think governments are friends. So I don't think Turkey and Pakistan are best buddies, or Turkey and India are enemies. I don't see it that way. I think these are purely strategical, and they can change within a night. So
Yeah.
yeah, I see it that way. I don't see so much emotion in that.
But I recently I read a article saying that there was a drop in the Indian tourists coming to Turkey, because Indians love to come to Istanbul because it's a very beautiful place. It is very beautiful country. Like tourism from India, it was it reduced drastically after this. What they saw after Operation Sindoor. So I think it is somehow it is like the ball is in Turkey's court, but yeah, as you mentioned, it is always government, because we as a common people think that we staying in a different country, Europe, and me and Yusuf are very good friends. So
Yeah,
people who are watching us, it's not just. I think it's just not just the people, common people who are fighting. It's that. Uh, when we are like what I see from my perspective is that it is totally government's business going on.
Yeah.
Okay, if they see a profit in something, they sell it. They see a profit in loss in something, they don't do it. So basically it's not more of an emotion, it's more of a business that is going on between the governments or the between the countries. We
that's
as
what
a
makes
people
it so
think,
cold, in my opinion, because it's even within government. Sorry for interrupting you. Even
yeah,
within the government, it's not really the government. Sometimes it's mostly one body of the
Yeah.
government, which is, let's say, military, it's a very good opportunity for them. Oh, it's amazing day. Someone bombed each other.
Yeah.
That's not really how general person feels, you know. I don't think like average person in India or Russia or I don't know, in Ukraine or United States caused a lot of pain all over the world for the last 150 years, but I
Yes.
don't think average American person even knew that. They think they were heroes. Now slowly they are getting aware of it. So it's the same with Turkey. Whenever something like this happens, average person doesn't even know very well. Even if they know, it's very shallow.
Yeah.
So of course it doesn't, you know,
Yeah.
emotionally
Yeah.
it doesn't make me feel right, to be honest.
It's
So,
just like
like,
the
is
governments.
it
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just as a small point, Yusuf, is it like government is controlling media over there or not? Because we see a lot of news coming on BBC and different kind of stuffs. So, is it like Turkey government somehow controlling media, or like they
I
have their
hope.
influence on media?
I hope it's not
I
like
don't
North
think there is
Korea.
yeah, it's somewhere between North Korea and I wanted to say United States, but it's not like media is not controlled in United States.
Good
It's
to hear
actually
it.
the best controlled there, just that they also have a counterpoint to
Mm.
fight back. So in Turkey, it's somewhere there also. Like there is a lot of actually independent journalism in Turkey, but majority of the traditional institutional medias are really yes men. They are like
Mm.
yes men of the government. So in
Okay.
every regard, when something like this happen, of course they're gonna cheer for it.
That's
Okay.
obvious.
Uh, so moving on to next question. Yes, Suraj.
Yep. So yep. So as you were talking with Shishir regarding president's actions in regard to the incidents that happened between India and Pakistan, how Turkey like provided something. So it because like he brought up the issue of Kashmir and sometimes in the UN General Assembly as well in September when it happened in 2025. So, like Turkey persistently has brought up Kashmir's issue.
Mhm.
So, along into the international stage when it has no role to play in it. It's like a important aspect in terms of India and Pakistan. So, like, is Turkey's assistance to Pakistan coming into frame in this issue, or is just that president's intention of using Pakistan and bringing Turkey into the forefront?
I think president himself is really vocal about these things. So
Mm-hmm.
personally, so that's one way of it. I don't know very well about Pakistan's inner politics and
Mm, yeah.
what is there in Kashmir so special, because there must be something there so special that outer some big force is really caring about it. It's definitely not the people of it.
Mm,
It's definitely not like general civilian population, but Erdogan himself talks about Kashmir. Of course, he's going to defend it because it's a pride point for him. And also, it comes to same with Gaza. He talks
yeah.
about it very vocally, but he has a very good trade relationship with Israel.
Yeah.
So I really cannot say. I'm not really qualified to see what's really there in Kashmir.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the reasons maybe he's talking about it is because he wants to be seen by Pakistan, Bangladesh, and let's say some of the African Muslim countries as like this great Muslim leader. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
It's
when it comes to relationships, governments
mm,
don't really have these kind of feelings and ideologies. I don't really believe in ideologies.
mm,
I don't think they play a very big part, at least sincerely or honestly.
mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a political thing, um, because because look, one of the main reasons I would say was this: when you do that, a lot of countries will somehow show you their respect,
Yes.
either economically or culture wise. And that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a profit. When you side with wars, when you have a proxy, or when I was in real estate, the best, the most investors were coming from Bangladesh and Pakistan and some Muslim countries, because they're like, oh, this is a very nice Muslim country, but Turkey is
Mm-hmm.
actually on paper is a secular country. They don't know that. Um, so it's profitable, I would say.
Yeah, I think President of Turkey is basically, I think, following the new Ottoman viewpoint to bring about being the leader of all the Muslim countries, I guess.
Maybe, which is very far and impossible, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yep,
probably some profit in that.
could be. Yeah, yep. Shishir, you're up.
So I think it's we are talking a lot about geopolitics and all kind of stuff. Now we are
Yeah,
engineers, so we should shift our focus to some technology questions. So,
Yep.
like,
yeah.
Yusuf, I have some technology-based question. Like,
Hmm.
how would you describe the current state of technology and innovation in Turkey? With like for us in a simple words, so that the people viewing back in India would understand it.
Um, Turkey has been importer of a lot of technological devices until now, like software, hardware, small things, big things. We never had a car, you know. The cars were always from outside. Uh, I don't know, the hair dryer even from outside, from Vietnam or China or India or somewhere. And the t-shirts are produced in Bangladesh. So we were very big consumers, I would say. But now Turkey is trying to, as I said, improving its side. And yeah, technologically, they also, like many other countries, put a lot of attention in AI. And mainly, I would say we are coming back to the same situation, but geopolitics. But they are putting a lot of money in these war crafts like drones. Um, I would say the Air Force technology is very improved
Yeah,
in
it is.
Turkey.
Yeah,
Very,
recently they
yeah,
have
yeah,
tested this automation by automating pilot modes of
I
different
think,
jets, air
yeah,
to air combats. They have
exactly. So
recently
they
tested.
are producing a lot of very advanced technological warcrafts. Um, some of which they, for example, sold to Ukraine. Some drones, some these like autonomous, fully autonomous planes. I don't know how big they are, to be honest. I don't know what you call them, jet fighters
No,
basically, but
yeah,
yeah, they're fully
they are
autonomous.
automatic. Yeah.
Yeah, so some very advanced radar systems, um, but it's a very big push to keep some young people also in Turkey, because the genius of Turkey is running away mostly. Uh, Whenever you see someone who's very good at technology or producing, a good programmer, a good production, a businessman or whatever, they mostly run away to United States or Europe to
Hmm.
make their dream come true, because in Turkey there is really no infrastructure, or there is no history and tradition, and like the background to produce entirely within itself. Uh, there's a lot of natural resources, and there's a lot of youth, but uh, technologically it's a consumer, solely wants to be a producer, I guess. I guess, and mainly in military, it's already exporting a lot of military technological devices.
So in like I'll extend my question. So how do you compare Turkey with Europe or the Middle East in terms of technology and innovation? Basically, Middle East.
Hmm.
Europe is far ahead, but Middle East.
Mm. Compared to Middle East, I think it's pretty good, because Middle East doesn't really have production in any way. In a lot of things, really, Middle East is not producing anything. A lot of Middle Eastern countries, the richest ones, are really not used to business. They don't know how to do business, or they don't know how to produce, they don't know how to manufacture, because their mainly income comes from oil. uh, and Saudi Arabia is changing that. They have these crazy big projects. I
Yeah.
don't know if they're gonna come into life or not, but at least it's a vision. So MBS really tries to uh, change the entire economy from oil to technology and AI, and to produce something like that. And Dubai became like self-reliant, at least on business. So it's a big hub.
Yes.
Qatar did the same, and they are very strategic. So they are doing investments in Europe. But about manufacturing and technology, they don't really produce anything, at least that it comes to my mind as an average person. If there is something they produce and come to my mind, I would know. So
Hmm.
in that regard, it's not that high. But in Turkey, um, they are starting to produce. Actually, Turkey started to produce its own first electric car. um they really wanted to make a very cheap car that even Turkish people can buy, because cars are very, very expensive in Turkey.
Yeah.
But it became one of the most expensive cars because it's technological and it's electric car and whatever. Um, but yeah, it's a bit ahead of Middle East, but not really of Europe when it comes to production, we will say. Even though even Europe is doing majority of its production outsourcing, because
Yeah.
production in Europe is really not that, you know, in the base
Yeah.
level, it's not really that advanced as well.
Okay. So, as you mentioned, Turkey has gained some global attention for its drone programs. Uh, like, what factor has driven this rapid development, or
Mm.
you see this Turkish-made drone changing the modern battlefield strategies?
Well, it's probably its location, because Turkey have been, it has been, fighting uh, in a lot of wars, actually, in proxy wars also, very quietly. And it is very, it needs to be aggressive. At least it sees itself in that way. But the main motive, why would you go into military, let's say, rather than, let's say, chips
Mhm.
or cars or AI?
Semiconductors.
Yep.
Yeah. um, I don't know what's their motivation, but it's because probably they are historically more of a fighter position, both in both sides, because they are between Middle East and Europe, and Turkey in like got its own independence from fighting against European countries, but it's also been fighting with, Middle East in some ways. Um, so maybe that's one of the reasons. It's probably for its own sake, but also it's exporting it. So, and it's very, how to say, profitable. Like, military is one of the most profitable
Yeah.
industries. So if you want to make quick money and very, very high amount of money, um, you can
Become an
combine
arms
military
dealer.
and AI. Yeah, exactly.
So, like as you mentioned, that it is basically because Turkey is surrounded by its enemy and they are producing it. It is. It's just. I think it's the same case with Israel. It's surround because it was surrounded with different countries, which was their enemy, which like till now they are fighting with their enemies. So my last question to you is, what message would you like to give to this global community,
Hmm.
whoever is hearing us, to understand about Turkey's approach towards technology, towards global uh, uh, geopolitical, global stand, or like, do you think that someday or the other, Turkey could be the next leader for the Middle East countries? What message would you like to give?
It's very hard to say that Turkey can be like a leader in manufacturing and production, because these things take decades. But Turkey has a lot of resources, like natural
True.
resources. So it's very lucky. Like, it has an
Yes.
amazing location. If any other government, let's say if Switzerland was in Turkey's position, the GDP would be like 15, 16 trillion dollars. But
Absolutely.
it's around 1 trillion right now in Turkey. So there's a lot to learn, probably. And from the Middle Eastern perspective, it certainly acts like one of the leaders, and it
Hmm.
has one of the highest GDPs and militaries. um, and unfortunately, right now, I don't like to see this. A lot of governments and countries are fighting back to be self-reliant. So those times when in 80s started, you get your t-shirts from Bangladesh, and you get your chips from Taiwan, and you get your car from Germany, and
Hmm.
this is kind of getting slowed down, because every government wants to be self-reliant, which is like becoming a bit of a cold environment. But I think this is going to change again, probably in 10, 20, 30 years, whatever is the turnover of these times. But I hope we don't turn into like a war machine again. But it's it's not going. It's not looking very peaceful right now. I hope that it just slows down, and I hope we fight more with business rather than guns and military.
Yep.
Maybe we fight with innovation. I don't know. We fight with whoever makes the best product gets the best price.
Yes.
So, Suraj, do you have any questions for?
All right, I think I'm done with my quota as well. So that was really nice and healthy discussions that we had with you, Yusuf, all
I
around
think
from
Yusuf, do you have any questions for us
yeah.
or to India people?
Yeah. Go for it.
Well, what can I ask you guys? Okay, I actually want to ask a question.
Yep.
Uh, India is changing very rapidly. I mean, it was the production site of the world. I mean, after China, but now also it's getting expensive to produce in India because the average cost is also high, raising. That's what happens when the economy grows.
Hmm.
That's in a way for you guys is a good thing. But what do you see? Is India trying to you know um, is it trying to be self-reliant also by itself, or is it more open to like becoming trade friendly or invest in Africa? Because I don't see it as much as active as China in Africa.
See, I'll first share my thought, and what I see from my perspective is that India is going towards uh, like developing its own technology, self-reliant country, like
Yeah,
US, like China. We are not, because we are seen. See, betrayal has been there for India in different parts. Okay, when there was a war between India and Pakistan, or India or China, we asked help from Russia, we asked help from USA. Nobody came to help us. So we have learned from those mistakes, and now I think after this new government came, we are turning towards a country which is self-reliant. It is not dependent on any country, because someday, I think, as you have seen, someday US gets up and says Mr. Donald Trump is a Donald Duck. He someday gets up and he tweets on the Twitter saying that we are putting sanctions on Russia and we are not allowing you to buy oil. Bro, what is this? We are
yeah,
not going to follow you because we are getting some cheap oil from this country, Russia, and we are buying it. That's our profit. So in this way, we are getting self-reliant so that we are not dependent on USA. That okay, give us some loan. We have to grow economically. We have to grow or something like that. Someday, if like he is a madman, I call him a madman, Donald Trump, because someday he gets up and orders to attack a country like Venezuela.
Yesterday itself.
So, so someday he will get up and he will say, "Let's go and have a fight with India, and we'll support Pakistan from back doors." So we are making some friends. We are making some. We are trying to bring up a community. Even you would have heard that we are trying to purchase things um, in
Indian
rubles,
rupees.
in rupees, in African currencies, so that we are not over dependent on dollars. So yeah, India is shifting towards a, a phase where we want that we are independent. We are not
mhm,
dependent on anyone. But it is a big country. It is a huge country. It will take some time. So for me, it is in process. But yeah. It is getting expensive now to invest in India, but companies have started to realize that okay, instead of going to China, let's go to India. It's way cheaper than China. Okay, because China is already having some 200% tariffs that the
yeah,
US company. So it is getting the second hub in Asia after China for production. But I think if government doesn't change in next 2 or 3 terms, you will see a new India that is coming up, and it will be a much more independent country than dependent.
Mhm.
So let's hope for the best. We are we are just common people, but we take pride in this, that okay, our country is finally not standing at the third row of the podium in G20 summit or G30 summit or UN, and people are laughing on our prime minister. Now, the prime when our prime minister goes to a country, they welcome him like a king. So yeah, now we are becoming a kingmaker. So let's see if this is the path that India follows, and we are on a like good we are on a good path. But the as you know, US has an influence everywhere. You have seen Bangladesh has collapsed drastically, and Pakistan, it's on the verge of like collapsing. Nepal in that case, and somewhere or the other, I think it's always US. It's always US because they want
For
some good,
now, for the past 130 years, yes.
yeah, and because they asked for a airbase in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina said no, and simply they like
Turn the government
said
around.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they'll do it anyway.
I think that's the case. They want to be close towards China. Earlier in, I think, 2011, 2012, USA had that access of our uh, military bases,
Hmm.
especially air bases. But recently, when the government changed, we have strict norms of not giving access to any country for the bases that we have in India. So, yeah, it is getting better, but let's see. It's all on the people of India watching us. I hope they don't change the government again.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
completely agree with him. So we are completely on the path of being self-reliant and resilience. And me, I'm from the eastern coast of the country. So here we are morely about what you say, manufacturing, basically. But
Mm.
now with the recent change in governments, we had a regime in here, like a government which was acting for like 20 years, nearly 20 years, and that changed, but we the progress didn't hamper at all. The development is still there, and now my state itself is becoming a new IT hub. First it was Bangalore, then
Yeah.
Hyderabad. Now my city is itself becoming a IT hub. So changes and developments are happening. Yes, it is getting a bit expensive. Being the fourth largest economy, you will have problems, that is for sure. The per economic capita, it is a little bit of hindrance is there that needs to be carried out. Yeah, there is work needs to be done. So yep, but it is in the right path, that we can assure you for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you guys feel about BRICS? Just lastly.
BRICS, it's a great community. It's a very, very important community that has been created. The groups in there, the nations that have brought in there, there are important parts, and more and more nations need to be collaborated into that particular section so as to expand the outperforming perspective that it holds. So I feel that more nations need to join in that in order to have
Yeah.
a whole certain power in an international forum, because NATO has 32 members. BRICS doesn't have so much. So it needs more power on its side to balance it out and put forward his voice and take a stand. I feel that.
I think Brisk is a small child which is, I think, growing year by year, but it still needs supports. Like when there is a small child in your house, you have to take care of it. So I think it is a community which is very small. It is recently created, not like it doesn't has a too long history like NATO and all. So I think it is gaining some powers. Recently, I read that US has said that if BRICS is using any other country, a country currency, then they will have a sanction on it. And there was a statement from I don't remember the name of that person from BBC. He told that you cannot do that. Brazil is a
Mm.
very important country, a group of very important countries. So you cannot do that. You cannot put
I mean,
sanctions on all the countries in Brazil.
mm,
And as I said, Donald Trump is a Donald Duck. He gets up gets up in the morning. He wants to get some attention. And we
yeah,
have a very similar. No, I'll tell you, we have a very similar politician in our country. His name was Arvind Kejriwal. He was the CM of Delhi. He was the
mm,
chief minister of Delhi, and he used to like if a person is not getting attention, he'll just get up and do some stupid thing so that he'll all the media will be focusing on him. So he is an attention seeker. I think Donald Duck is an attention seeker for me.
bro thinks he's the main character.
Yeah, he thinks he's a main character. He has said publicly that I have stopped the war between India and Pakistan. I have stopped the war between Ukraine and Russia. From last 2 years, I have not seen the war being stopped. So
I think
what
he
he's
he disappointed his voters in that regard, for sure. Because
Yeah,
yeah, basically 4 or 5 main points he ran on and he won. None of them came true. None of them
yeah,
exactly. But about the BRICS, yeah, I think it is working for sure. The power is shifting. Both euro and US dollar are losing worth globally, very fast. At least in the trade percentages, it is still going down. So yeah, maybe that's individually better for a lot of countries, because I think it's never good when you have one top dog.
yeah,
that is what one I think one country shouldn't have that monopoly in the whole world that okay,
Yeah,
what I say is my rule.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so any other question for us?
That's it. I mean, we can talk about for hours, but
yeah.
not that we are experts of anything, but like, yeah, just as
Yeah,
average people. But yeah, thank you guys.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
really, really great talking to you, Yusuf. And we are grateful to you for spending your time, giving us your time, and
Likewise.
speaking to us about Turkey and India and all the geopolitics around the world. It was a really nice interactions with you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It was very nice talking to you guys.
so this concludes our today's episode. We appreciate you guys are listening to us and looking forward to have you with us again and someday.
Yeah.
For the viewers, if you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. And we'll add Yusuf's Instagram ID
For
in the
sure.
descriptions.
I don't
So
have
do follow.
any social media, but peace. Thank you.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So, by the way, he's a very good like sketch. He sketches very well. You can see he has sketched a
Yep, I
frame
can see that.
back at the back, and
That's yeah, that's not mine, but I appreciate
yeah,
the
Still,
yeah,
but
it's a
and
very good sketch.
he's a very good person. And as a friend, like when first came to Germany, he was the first. He and Cheyenne was the first person who I met, and we lived together for I think say 5 6 months, and it was
Yeah, that
great.
was amazing.
Great time, I think, when we three
Yeah.
were together in the house. So we enjoyed a lot. With that, we end this video, we end this episode. I hope everybody likes our content. And आज आई थिंक इंग्लिश में ज्यादा बात हुई है, हिंदी में बहुत कम हुई है, तो जो
shifting to
हमारे
Hindi.
हिंदी
All
भी
right.
सो जो भी हमारे हिंदी व्यूअर्स हैं उनके लिए मैं बोलूँगा कि थोड़ा सा बेयर कर लें हमारे साथ
हाँ जी.
और लाइक करें, सब्सक्राइब करें और प्लीज़ कमेंट करें कि आपको ये एपिसोड कैसा लगा। हम आगे भी हमारे कुछ इंटरनेशनल फ्रेंड्स के साथ कोलैब करेंगे ताकि आपको और पता चले कि वर्ल्ड में कॉमन पीपल क्या सोचते हैं, what common people think about this these scenarios being going around their country. So I think with this we end this video. Suraj,
Thank you, everybody. This cheers.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
thank you.